Hi everyone, welcome to another AND broadcast. It's great to have your company. My name's Donna Stevenson and I'm always your host for these sessions. We've joined as always by some of our coalition members. AND is the adult network Neurodiversity and Dyslexia. And as I say, we are a coalition of like-minded organisations who join together to create a free, safe space for our adult community. And it's great to have your company. So, who is a part of our coalition? As we see here, some fantastic logos of brilliant companies. So we are Neurobox, Succeed with Dyslexia, and you see I have a Succeed t-shirt on, and we are also made up of the Adult Dyslexia Centre, and we have the manager from the centre here this evening. It's Sue Floor MBE. Hi Sue.
Hi.
Hi. Tell us a bit about what the work that the ADC does.
Oh, well, the ADC was set up for children who grew up into be adults. There didn't seem to be anywhere for them to go. This was more than 20 years ago. Now, I think we're the go-to place for adults because there are very few places. It's primarily for dyslexic people, but of course, nobody fits into one neat box. So we get people with all sorts of different characteristics. So many neurodiverse people. We run a helpline, both on the phone and by email. We run support groups online and face-to-face, and we do assessments and workplace needs assessments and training sessions. Anything actually, we are the go-to place. So if there's anybody out there that needs help, we're a safe place to go to.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Sue, and thanks for everything that you do over there at ADC. For those of you listening, at the end of this conversation, we'll share another slide with the contact details, those helpline details that Sue has mentioned. There's a great service they do over there. We've also got here, as part of the coalition family, Hampshire Dyslexia Association. And just like some of the other associations, they have a helpline. They do lots of great work over there in that part of the world. They did last year a conference on the Isle of Wight, which was brilliant. And a certain Aaron Smith was there talking, who's one of our guests tonight. So again, lots of raising awareness and lots of support for the community, for adults, families and children, of course. And again, I'll be sharing their details at the end. We also have Yorkshire Rose Dyslexia Association, and we're joined by the chair, Pat Payne. Hi, Pat.
Hi, Donna.
Hello. Tell us a bit about the great work you do over in Yorkshire.
Well, like all the other groups, helpline is our main focus always. Although I have to say the calls are falling off a little bit at the minute, and others are saying the same. I don't know why. I'd like to think things are getting better, but I can't believe it is. So that's our main thing. We run a typing club on a Saturday morning, which sadly I'm stopping at the end of this year. But the plan is to try and get into schools, which I think would be much more effective.
Oh, yeah.
We've got a good track record that this does work. So now if I can get into schools and do more in schools and not travel 25 miles every Saturday morning, we might reach a lot more people. So that's becoming quite big. And then our biggest thing coming up in July this year, we're doing the festival yet again. And we're hoping that's going to be bigger and better. So keeps us busy.
It does keep you busy just a bit.
Keeps us busy.
Where can folks find out about the festival, Pat? Because at the end of this session, I'll be sharing your helpline details. But do we if we Google Yorkshire Rose Dyslexia Association and go to your webpage, is there information about the festival there?
The simplest thing is just Yorkshire Dyslexia Festival.
Oh, okay.
We've got Aaron, will we call that a website? I don't think it is a website. What is it when it's just specifically for? So all the information.
Landing page.
It's a landing page.
A landing page.
It is a website.
Well, I knew, yes, it is, but it's just about the festival. But it will also be on our website as well.
Yeah, excellent.
So that's just coming along nicely.
Is that in Leeds again?
It's in Pudsey, part of Leeds. Thinking of the bear, just down the street from where the bear was.
Yeah,
yeah, so it's same place. It's a really good venue, isn't it, Aaron?
Yeah.
The only problem with it, I have to say, and I can't know about it, it doesn't have breakout rooms. If it had breakout rooms, it would be amazing. So we just have 2 very large rooms and everything happens there.
Yeah. Well, I went last year and it was amazing. So I'm hoping I might be able to come back round again this year. So
we'd love you to come. We'd love you to come.
I'd love to be there. any excuse to go to Yorkshire. So thank you, Yorkshire. Lots of busy stuff happening there.
Absolutely.
We've also got Helen Arkell Dyslexia Charity here. They do lots of great work. And again, I'll be sharing their contact details. They don't have a helpline, but they do lots of work to support families in the community as well. And then last but certainly not least, we have got the fantastic Dyslexia Association, and we're joined by Kay Carter, who is their CEO. Hi, Kay.
No, thank you for the
Hello.
fantastic. What a lovely,
You're more than welcome. I love
introduction.
Nottingham. I love Nottingham. Over to you. What do you guys do over in that part of the world?
Well, very similar to my colleagues who've already spoken. We run primarily a diagnostic service for adults and children, along with screenings as well. And similar to Pat and Sue, we work in workplaces, doing workplace needs assessments. We do tuition in schools and one-to-one remotely. And we also have a helpline, although as Pat will know, and as she sort of already alluded to, that can take up quite a lot of time.
Yes.
But very, very valuable work, I think, in terms of speaking to people on a regular basis.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Kay. And to you and the team for all the work you do there. And again, those contact details will be on our final slide when we say goodbye to everyone. So, as we're recording this, we are right in the middle of Neurodiversity Celebration Week 2025. So what we've done as well, beyond our wonderful coalition members, we've brought together two very eminent members of the neurodivergent community, which I'm sure some of you are very aware of. One is Aaron Smith. We've already heard about him tonight by talking about Yorkshire and so on, and also Katrina Cochrane as well. But Aaron, if I come to you first, tell us a little bit, the rare people who don't know who you are, tell us a little bit about who you are.
That's really good. So I'm Aaron Smith. I'm a severely dyslexic adult. I've worked in the field of dyslexia for over 20 years, and that is both within the voluntary sector, in the charity sector, and also through my work as the founder of an event that's now called the Neurodiversity Show. It used to be called the Dyslexia Show, along with other areas of development with education services through SEND Group that I deliver resources and books and training and other things. So and I spend my life playing around with technology and supporting people in all areas of special education needs and disability and dyslexia and neurodiversity.
Brilliant. Thank you, Aaron. And
that was good. I didn't need to use my 25% extra time, did I?
No,
So
it was
that's good.
very good. It was very. You're getting good at this.
I know.
And also, again, for the very rare people who don't know who Katrina Cochrane is, Katrina, tell us a bit about the great work you do.
Well, I do a whole range of different things. I am a trustee of the Adult Dyslexia Centre, so I have my links with Sue Flora and the ADC. I have actually worked with both Donna and Darren as well.
And
but
Sue.
I haven't. Well, yes, but I just mentioned Sue beforehand. But yes, I've got my own company, and we do quite a lot of accredited training now. So level 3 and level 4 accredited training. I also put on conferences. I've got 3 this year, and I'm a diagnostic assessor myself, and still carry out assessments for children and adults, and workplace needs assessments.
Yeah, brilliant. And if anyone wants to find out more, Katrina's company is called Positive Dyslexia, which is a wonderful name, isn't it? Especially as we start to think about Neurodiversity Celebration Week. So experts, as I said, we know it's NCW 2025. The theme this year is Celebrating Different Minds, which is fantastic. So we wanted to do something a bit different this time around and have a conversation about where we're at currently in the community. So the first question I would like us to ponder, and I'll come to you all separately if that's okay. Do we think having a special time like Neurodiversity Celebration Week is a good idea in this day and age? Kay, may I come to you first with that question?
Oh, I was dreading you coming to first with that question. Oh, Donna.
Go for it. Do we think it's a good idea? Go for it.
Well, of of course, anything that gets us talking about neurodiversity or neurodivergent differences has got to be a good thing. And similar to what colleagues were saying when we were chatting before we started this recording, they've all been involved in various different things throughout the week. I've got a really interesting conference tomorrow, which is with our local police constabularies. I really have a problem with that word, so I'm glad I said that. Okay. Which is Nottinghamshire and Derbyshire, and it's really a chance for them to showcase the work that they're doing, which, to be honest, is you know, it's quite inspirational, some of the work they're doing. And the conference that they've put together tomorrow, obviously I've not been yet, looks amazing, because they've just got you know, police officers speaking throughout the day. So it's not an expert-led event, it's a employee-led network event. And I think to be able to have that space for them is really, really important. So it's got to be a good thing. And there's such a momentum, isn't there? There's such a momentum around a lot of the work that we're doing at the moment.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Kay. Brilliant answer. Sue, can I come to you then? What do we think Neurodiversity Celebration Week? Is it a good idea, do you think? And Sue, you're still on mute.
Sorry. I didn't want any background noise here. Yeah, I think it's horrible to go second because Kate said it all. But yeah, it's great because it still raises awareness. So many people still don't know what neurodiversity is, but it gives us a chance to be able to demonstrate the great characteristics that neurodiverse people have. It's not a negative issue. So I think it's not just awareness, but it's a celebration. Well, I think you said that anyway, isn't it? The whole week is a celebration. We just have to let people know that we are worthwhile. People need us. We're not boring. We've got so much to offer. And it gives us that opportunity, I think, to let everybody know. And starting even with little children, getting them to know that the person next to them with a fidget toy is normal, you know, and we're just different. Everybody's got their own characteristics and their own strengths, and we're all good at something. And it gives us that chance to say it. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you, Sue. Always wise words from you. Aaron, same question to you. I think you've been out and about this week, haven't you? So is it a good idea to have this special time, do you think?
So what I think it does two things. So it focuses people. So what it does is it pulls lots of little events that then make a big impact into the community. And it's really interesting. So I've had this conversation with a young lad who is autistic, and he detests Autism Appreciation Day as an autistic individual. He really finds it is because why do I need to be appreciated with anything that annoys me? And I think this is it's a really interesting kind of angle. I personally think it's a brilliant thing. I love the concept of Neurodiversity Celebration Week, the concept of Dyslexia Awareness Week. I've been learning very much over the last week not to acronymize it, which is a really interesting thing from an accessibility point of view. Because of course I'm also used to saying DAW, which stands for Dyslexia Awareness Week, where actually you should say the word, and it's this concept there. So to me, it's a positive thing because it does definitely focus the community, but it also focuses the wider community, which is what it's meant to do. It's actually, yes, it is for us in the community to talk about our to celebrate our differences, but it also means then that the press will talk about it, that MPs may talk about it. They may be able to then have teachers talk about it in schools. We may have, like we've seen there, that like Kay said about the police force talking about it. So that's what I think. That's what it gives, that awareness outside the awareness that we all do. I there's a saying that I always hear in the education stuff that I do. Every teacher is a teacher of SEND. Every teacher is a teacher of special education needs and disability. So that's the thing, is that every teacher is a teacher of neurodiversity, and we are all individuals that support neurodiversity, but sometimes we need to be focused in what we're doing, so then we can kind of make a bigger noise about it and show that actually that yes, there may be some negatives around how it affects some people, but actually let's look at the positives.
Lovely, thanks, Aaron. Katrina, same question. Is it a good idea to have this celebration time?
Yeah, I think it's I've been really sort of taken aback about the traction behind it. Actually, it's not been around for very long, has it? The concept of neurodiversity hasn't been around for that long. This week, as a celebration week, has not been around for that long, and has really taken off, hasn't it? So I've been sort of really impressed by the traction behind it. For myself, I've been in the field of dyslexia for 25 years, 26 years, a long time, too long. But I'm actually not dyslexic myself. I'm dyspraxic, and so it's given me an opportunity to sort of think about and reflect about myself as being neurodiverse, which I hadn't really done beforehand. So quite interesting to come at it from that angle, I think, and really sort of think about myself as being part of the neurodiverse community instead of part of the dyslexia community.
But thanks for sharing
really
that, because I think a lot of folks don't know that about you, and it's good to hear you being that honest in those ways.
Yeah. I mean, like a lot of people, you know, I've got a child who's got everything, but so he is dyslexic and everything, but I think myself, I think I'm just dyspraxic.
Thank you. Interesting insights. Pat, last but certainly not least, do you think Neurodiversity Celebration Week's a good idea?
I think it's going to get better and better. We haven't come across a lot of positive sides of neurodiversity, and I wish we could. And I think, picking up what Kay said, getting into the emergency services where it seems to be quite prevalent.
Yes.
And I think if we could reach those people and see the positive side, where the people are in work doing a worthwhile job, not, oh, I can't because, but I can because. And I think when we can get that message out louder, I think that will help the children. I think that's got to be a better way round, that, you know, there is something to do. I had a helpline call last night from a mum of a 13-year-old boy, and he's got so many issues. Just from a helpline, you do pick up a lot. And I was thinking, this boy needs a role model, because he's okay. He just doesn't fit into school, and school don't fit him. And yet, well, for instance, yesterday, through his EHCP, they've given him a computer today. What's he going to do with it? Nobody knows. And that's what's wrong at the minute. The school don't realise, oh, we're giving him a laptop, so tomorrow he'll be able to work. So we've got to educate some of the older people to understand that it's okay to be different, and to treat this young guy. I mean, I've sent loads of stuff and I'm hoping it will help, but he's just a very, very square peg in a round hole. And one must be feeling terrible about himself. So that's where I think, when it opens up, that it's not just children who are failing, but the whole world is made up of different people, and it's okay to be different.
Thank you, Pat. Sue, you were gesturing.
Yeah, I wanted to say that. I mean, it is an opportunity, actually, Pat said it, for these children, instead of, you know, feeling like the square peg, to be able to celebrate. You know, we're saying good things about neurodiversity, and for once, it might help their self-esteem. That's what I said.
Well, the other thing is all the negative language about disorders and deficits. Neurodiversity sounds positive, doesn't it? And I think it's moving away from the negative language, which I think is so important.
What was interesting today is, so I've been at South Bank University today for their kind of their way of celebrating Neurodiversity Week, and it was interesting that the assistant vice chancellor, so the number 2 in the university, opened the conference, and she has a stammer, and she's a researcher and professor in that field, And she was saying that actually she doesn't know if she is part of the neurodiverse community. But she does say that it's a neurological condition. So I went, well, you are then. Because that's, to me, like when we look at the neurodiversity show, we've got speech and language therapists coming because we think it's part of it, because it needs
But
to be part of it.
neurodiverse means different, and we're all different. It's just
Correct.
what your issue is. It's not just that. Everybody, by the time you're an adult, you're not just one thing if you've got the issues. And you've got some that you manage and some you don't.
Correct,
and a stammer, I'm quite surprised in this day and age, because you don't hear very many people who stammer. They seem to have found a way around it.
Yeah, and the word neurodiversity was very hard for her to say.
They probably sorry, Pat, they probably just keep quiet. We actually have had them on our helpline, and we have to be very, very patient and a good listener, because it is a characteristic of neurodiversity. And at the university, when I was working there, I came across quite a few who had speech difficulties, and there wasn't any help for them. So maybe this week will highlight that issue as well.
What came actually from out of this conference, which was really interesting, South Bank University has been named third in the world for their equality.
Wow.
Right, it's third in the world. There's 3,000 people were assessed, 3,000 universities were assessed around the world, and they came third.
Wow.
And what was really interesting was the conversation around actually that it's not just around neurodiversity, it's all about how they actually deal with their students and their staff. And what was really interesting is listening to the staff members giving their perspectives on how it is. So we had the panel I sat on. There was a gentleman the lead professor for nursing and midwifery, and he has a team of 12 people, but he's very neurodiverse and finds the teaching bit that he does very little of now really easy, the marking bit really hard, but the management of people harder. And because he's now explained about his own neurodiversity, 3 other members of his team are neurodiverse, and they all help each other now. And what it is that concept there. Now, when in France, there's no concept of it. There's no actual. There's no kind of in university. There's no DSA. There's none of that. But what was really interesting is how they are looking at equality and disability and inclusion as a whole, and not just as a tick-boxing exercise to get your disability confidence badge. Or they're actually looking at it as actually how they deliver it. And one of the things that we talked about is looking at it from the point of view of when we look at going out of academia. So if we look at it, we've looked at it in school and how we know there's issues in our education system. We know there's issues that they hear the story that a lot of dyslexia people are picked up in university because it's a different way of thinking, it's a different way of analysing. But now what we're seeing is, and this is what I'm seeing with things like the Neurodiversity show, is that 4 or 5 years ago, or probably 6 or 7 years ago, we would have employee resource groups for dyslexia and have employee resource groups for ADHD. But actually now companies can't have 22 employee resource groups. So actually the word neurodiversity has been really positive, because it's pulled everyone together, and there's a bigger community to support each other. And what South Bank University is showing is that actually the research they're seeing on that concept, they're now creating resource that can give back to the community. So they've created all these little videos to try and embed into senior managers how to deal with someone neurodiverse, how to think differently about interviewing. And it's like fascinating. There was only 40 of us there, but there was so many people, a lot of nursing students, a lot of people from nursing, which I found really fascinating. Innovate UK supported the event, which again is a really interesting concept. So to me, I think, and this is the thing actually, this whole week is about actually coming together, and it is about celebrating. It is.
Do you think it might take away from Dyslexia Awareness Week though?
So the thing with Dyslexia Awareness Week, it's very specific.
Yeah.
So it's a very big discussion, and if I switch that, it's like, for me, as a person that runs a show that was called the Dyslexia Show. Right, that was very specific and got to the point where it was very hard to get people outside the community there. What the Neurodiversity show has done is seen that actually I have too many people contacting me. Like, I had lots of people contact me before, but I can guarantee that every day I'm getting 12 people asking me to speak every day on LinkedIn, right? And I'm just having to say no because I don't have any space. And that is, unfortunately, that's it's not an unfortunate, it's a benefit, because actually people want to talk about it. But I think with dyslexia, I think that we are in a situation, especially with like people like me and you, Katrina, we've lived the field of, and Sue and actually all of us on this screen have lived dyslexia for such a long time. I don't think we would let that go. And I think that with organisations like the British Dyslexia Association, like Yorkshire Rose and the Dyslexia Association and the Adult Dyslexia Centre, did I get that right, Sue? Yeah, that's fine. Good. I can never remember the C, but the point of it is that we're all here and we're all supporting people.
Yeah.
So I think that actually, because we've established these systems, this support, and when we look at the concept of neurodiversity, actually the biggest percentage of neurodiverse people will be dyslexic.
Yeah. Yeah,
right.
And
I think that's why it's important to keep dyslexia very strongly up there, because my view, and you'll all know what I'm going to say, we need dyslexia support in schools. If we help the children at 6, 7, 8, never mind 13 and 15, if we're not picking up that children are different, certainly by 7, 6, most people know there's something different. If we start with those children, a lot of that problem will be, they'll still have their issues, but they won't go through this place called school thinking it's hell on earth.
Yeah.
And there's too many of them, and that's where the damage is happening.
And that's, if we look at in adulthood, the concept is that we've known adults that have been damaged by the system. And again, you still hear that thing that I got picked up in my second year of university, or they didn't
believe in dyslexia when I was a child.
Yes.
How many times I hear that, and the others will. They didn't believe in it.
Yeah.
And if you could, like, I remember the conversation with a person that a lot of us remember, a gentleman from Birmingham. He wouldn't go to certain car parks in Birmingham because he had to put his registration in the machine.
Yes.
Now that's a societal concept, but actually because he's never been taught to read his registration, and that's the failure of the system. When we look at adulthood, it's like
you know what he should have done, Aaron? He should have got a personal number plate, and then he would have always remembered it.
We're not going to go into the conversation.
I know you had your hand up, and I'm just eager that we hear what you were thinking.
Rein me in.
No, don't worry. We don't want to rein you in.
No, we're not going to rein you in. That's fantastic.
But we just want to make sure everybody gets a 10. Kay, did you still want to raise your point?
It's difficult, isn't it? Because the conversation moves on.
Yes, it's moved on. Yeah.
I think what I kind of wanted to come in on is that what I like about thinking about neurodiversity or neurodivergence is the characteristics of. So we were just talking, weren't we, around dyslexia, and there are quite a few views that that gets lost a little bit when we start talking about the umbrella of neurodivergent differences. But what we're trying to do, or in the organisations that we're talking to, is to think about things as characteristics of. And when you think about sort of phonological processing or processing speed, working memory, they are characteristics of lots of different neurodivergent differences. And I think if we can move that conversation a little bit towards thinking about that and the impact of that will help lots of people, particularly people who might have co-occurring differences across. That was kind of the point I was trying to come in on.
Really insightful. Thank you, Kay. Sue, you wanted to come in.
Well, I've done something similar, really. I mean, I think I've probably been around one of the longest, along with Pat, but I can remember when everybody that was neurodivergent was called dyslexic. And then they started to decide that perhaps some people weren't quite dyslexic, they were dyspraxic, or they were dysgraphic, or they were dyscalculic, or they were something else. And so they thought, oh, well, we can't, you know, let them all be under our umbrella. We're dyslexic. And so, and now we've gone the other way, and we're part of
I think that was my point as well, Sue, that I was thinking is that, you know, you've got these little silos, and you know, my background is working in special needs schools, and you know, in a school, and Aaron kind of touched on this as well. You know, you can't put those different people in different corners and you know, arrange your interventions accordingly, because like I say, all of those people might have processing characteristics. So it's about bringing that together and maybe looking at the similarities as opposed to the differences across that umbrella.
I think
but it's got to
fit into one box.
Exactly. And it's got to be about the impact for the individual. That's where we should focus.
So thank you, Kate and Sue. It's really insightful. So I'm thinking then, actually, the next question maybe is a perfect question to ask on the back of where I think this conversation is heading. The theme this year then for Neurodiversity Celebration Week is celebrating different minds. On the back of what we've started to say, what does this mean to us then? Sue, can I come to you first then? Just on the back of what you were saying about what has gone in the past, what does celebrating different minds mean to you in this context?
It means that we're all different. We need to be tolerant of one another. And I think you often speak about, I can't say the word, I'm like, is it intersectionality?
Oh, intersectionality, yes, yeah.
Yeah, and you explained that really well. So I would say over to you. But, you know, we've got, we need to be tolerant. We're all different, and we've all got something we're really good at. And we need to appreciate each other. That's what I'd say.
Katrina, what does celebrating different minds mean to you?
I think it's exactly as Sue said, that we are all different. I think probably Kay and myself probably did our initial training at about the same time for the same organisation, and I always remember that we were sort of told any complex cases, send them to the EP. Well, they're all complex now, aren't they? They're all and you know, I think in the early days we just saw dyslexic boys. Actually, all I saw were boys. And now we're beginning to realise that these girls have been masking all of these neurodiverse difficulties, haven't they? We're seeing a widespread of children, of adults, and who have all got a different profile. I've never seen the same set of skills or scores in two people in the last 25 years. So, and I think that's what makes us the people we are, isn't it? The strengths we have, and it's looking at those positive strengths.
And for a change, I think it's starting with early years, where it's helping young children to tolerate their peers sitting next to them. You know, the 5-year-old understanding why somebody next to them fidgets or speaks out of turn like me. You know, but why, you know, appreciating each other. And I think it's terrific that it's been celebrated this week in schools. So sorry.
Thank you. No, please don't apologise. It's really insightful.
Tolerate me.
Matt, can I come to you? What does celebrating different minds means to you? What are you thinking of when you think about the theme this time?
I've come to it very much because I'm not a teacher. I haven't got any of the skills that you other guys have got, but I have in the years I've been doing the touch typing. I cannot believe, it's mind-blowing how these youngsters, mainly boys, the boys are coming through much better than the girls, and the girls are not masking, but they're just not taking this skill. I mean, even Sue Westwood, who owns the programme, has never had it recorded that boys are coming through, but these young boys who come in thinking, oh, I'm here because, and they're completing this course in under 6 months. And it's phenomenal. But the change in those boys is amazing, because this the reading and writing side, more the writing for the boys, obviously. Some of them could read, some not, but they couldn't get anything on paper because they were blocked. And it's just opened the world to them. They go out, I say they've all grown 6 inches tall, and the grin goes from ear to ear. And they've written to me. They've written and said, you know, thank you for what you've done. And parents say, thank you for giving me my child back. There's no magic in it. I'm not trained. I'm not anything, but they've found a skill that has brought them out. And
I agree. I think there should be more emphasis on touch typing in schools. They
Absolutely.
all are taught how to code or whatever, but they're
I
not taught
get-
that.
this is what the parents say. Why are they doing coding when they
Yes.
they can't type? And then this one yesterday, they're giving him a laptop, but not told him how to use it.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
the point? He could actually fail at that and think, no, this
Yeah.
is worse. I'll go back to the pen.
Yeah.
It's
I'll give you
So
an
a
insight.
very personal take on celebrating different minds then for you, Pat, about the work that you do with children in type, and it's lovely to hear. Aaron, I know you wanted to speak, so yeah, same question to you, and I'd love to hear what you were going to say.
I was going to give a personal insight. So
Yeah.
I got given a laptop in school, and I remember being given it, and I remember writing a piece of work, so typing a piece of work out in a social studies lesson, so humanities, or it was either humanities or RE or something like that, or geography. And I remember going up to the IT room. I'd saved it. Never been told how to open a document.
Wow.
So what did I do? I press save, and I then press yes, because I can't read what it said. So all the work I've done is saved over it.
Oh.
Now, you know what? I will never forget that. And this is why I kind of I realised it now. But when I used to work for Microsoft and talked about Word Online and it auto saves, it's a brilliant thing because it auto saves and has version control, which means you can never save over anything. But actually, so the question. So I didn't know that was the theme for starters. I don't think the theme was very much aware. When I looked on the Neurodiversity Celebration Week website, didn't really see the theme. And themes to me they're a marketing tool. That's really a bad thing to say. They don't actually, to me, the theme. Say the theme again to me, because
celebrating different minds.
I think it's the same thing. Celebrating neurodiversity and celebrating different minds are exactly the same thing to me, because we all have different minds. So it's kind of actually. It's kind of the same word. It's the same concept to me. It doesn't actually spark any concept apart from actually we can talk about something else that's the same thing.
Well,
but
actually, it's the same thing, but other people don't know.
And that's the thing. And that's the
outside of this, Aaron, people don't realise how different the minds are. You think
exactly
dyslexic
and that's where it comes
or
from.
autistic, and not that it's a mix of.
Yes.
And that's what we've come to realise, I think, in the last few years. It's a mix
Exactly.
of. You're not one. You don't fit into a box, and it is the different minds. And I see this. I work with this group of 20 children, so I see their minds, and I see the difference in them. But my takeaway is, I know those children that have gone through are not going to have big issues when they're grown up.
No. And I think that's the thing. You see, the thing what it is that we're looking at the concept of adulthood now, and actually adults, unfortunately, have fallen through the system, and they're either people like me that have had very supportive parents that have been able to have a lot of support in school, which in one sense I look at it that I talk about the concept whenever I talk about my own life, about having a teaching assistant sit next to me doing my GCSEs, and I had one teaching assistant that used to poke me and wake me up in history, and the other one would be in science and wrote me some beautiful handwritten notes about biology. I can't read handwriting.
But you were diagnosed quite early as well. That's the
difference. And that's exactly the point. I was diagnosed at age 9. And that was because I had a parent that was interested, a parent that wanted to wonder why. I thought, I remember you think of things in your life. I remember something my nana said to me about trying to help me. So I still supposedly play in a brass band, and we have a folder of music in alphabetical order. Now I know the alphabet, and I can kind of work out what the piece of music is from what people say. But what she said was, why don't we colour code all the music? And I was like, well, not 300 sheets of music. We're not going to color code all of them. But that was the concept was all the A's were going to be blue, or all the A's were going to be whatever color works with A, or apples or something. I don't know. But that was the concept she was trying to work out. But to me, it was like, actually, that was thinking outside the box, being different. But I just used to just look at a pattern. When I look at words, I don't look at words. I just look at patterns and see, actually, can I work it out? There's a word in front of me. There's a picture in front of me, and it's a handwritten signed picture, and it says Paul. I know it says Paul because I can read the P, the A, and the L, and that's the thing it is. And I think going back to this concept of minds, we're all different, and actually what it does is it does that what Pat said. It opens it up for that wider community to understand that actually neurodiversity is about our mind and how we are all different, and how we actually all interact with the world in a different way. We may have labels like dyslexia, or autism, or ADHD, or dyspraxia, and they are they are what kind of we've been either diagnosed with, that then helps us understand what our differences are. But actually what neurodiversity does, it opens it up so we can actually have that open conversation about that actually we are different. It is part of our mind, but actually we have these amazing strengths that allows us to do something.
Yeah, and hopefully, hopefully this week it will open up the minds of employers. You were lucky to be assessed young. It will open up the minds of employers who hadn't really appreciated the strengths, and can start to look at other aspects of their employees and not just the weaknesses.
Yeah,
I've got a brilliant insight. So I'm working with an organisation that will be developing nuclear power technology, and they'll be making it as the concept of a modular system. And I've spoken to their neurodiversity team, and the reason they have no customers. It's a company that has no customers. It's all investor led. It's waiting for governments to pay for stuff. So they have no customers. But what they've done is that why they are interested in neurodiversity is that a high percentage of their population in their employment is they have neurodiversity because of their neurodiverse strengths. They're problem solving. They're seeing things differently. Now they know as soon as they get that contract, they're going to increase massively numbers. And they want to make sure that they employ the right neurodiverse people. So they have to think about the concept of employment, the concept of collecting and getting employed and getting their cohort of people in to help them develop this product and service. They have to be neurodiverse.
But Aaron, there are industries doing that now and have been doing for years.
They have, yeah. But that's
the Silicon Valley in America.
Yeah,
it's 50% dyslexics. They actually seek, and there are others who are doing it.
Yeah, but that's the thing you see is what Sue said. It's seeing that now more and more companies are rethinking this concept that actually you don't have to doing an aptitude test in an exam when you go to a job, or having to and not being know what the question's going to be asked. Actually, for some people with neurodiversity, that's a really supportive process, isn't it? And I think
that's always been available, but they made a big thing about John Lewis introducing this, but actually that's always been available.
It's always been there, But what the week is doing is it's encouraging people more to think, actually, we need to do that. And we know that's the law. We know that's the part of the Equality Act, as we do, but actually I think what this week is showing is that actually people are talking about these things more openly and actually showing them as a strength and a positivity of why we want people like ourselves, like our neurodiverse colleagues.
Thanks, Aaron. Kay, I'd like to ask you the same question on the back of what's just been shared, which is really insightful. What does celebrating different minds mean to you then?
I think actually it's quite a big question in a way, because I mean there's a term that I always like to use, which is, we're all neurodiverse. And I think we've all touched on that. We're all different. None of us know what the other one's thinking. Well, unless you've got some clairvoyant sort of,
I think
skills.
What you could say there is that the one time it isn't with identical twins. Identical twins often say they can think for the other, but that's extremely rare. Most of us are not like that at all. Other siblings don't think like identical twins do.
Yeah.
So that takes it right to the other extreme, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think it's that thing that actually we are all neurodiverse. we're all, and as Sue was sort of touching on the intersectionality, it shows up for us in different ways, and in different ways dependent on our lives. I'm happy to admit, you know, as a menopausal lady, things look slightly differently. Strategies are different, and it can affect you in different ways. You know, what do you do? Which box do you fit in if you're, you know, neurodivergent and a menopausal lady? And you know, where do you fit? But we're not all neurodivergent. So we're all neurodiverse, but we're not all neurodivergent, because we don't all fit that diagnostic threshold. And as much as we maybe want to not go down that route, you know, there is a diagnostic threshold in terms of deciding who is and who isn't neurodivergent. But what happens to the people who are just below that threshold as well, who still have those characteristics? You know, we have to think across that broad spectrum, really, particularly in the workforce. And it comes down to being really self-aware of what are our skills and weaknesses. I think Pat was talking about, you know, when you start to talk to people on helpline, and you start to really listen to some adults who are on the more severe, or their life experience, or that how they experience their neurodivergence is quite extreme. A lot of them would say to me, you know, it's not a superpower. I don't care what people are saying out there. And yes, no, isn't it wonderful? And it's my superpower. For some people, it isn't. It's still a struggle. It's still a barrier. And I think there is still that debate within our community between those people who can turn that around, can see the strengths, and those people who struggle every day. And that is still something that we need to keep hold of when we talk about a celebration week, because as Aaron said, you know, well, it's a question, are we sort of marginalizing those people who have those really immense barriers?
It's really interesting. Thank you, Kay. And I'm so glad that you clarified between, are we all neurodiverse, are we all neurodivergent? I think there is that really important difference there. Last question then, experts, and this is the challenge because it's such an interesting conversation, but in one sentence or two, for our adult community then listening to this conversation, and we hope we've given lots of people lots to think about, what words of inspiration would you give folks who are listening to this conversation for our adults? Pat, can I start with you?
Very difficult. I don't think I'm in a position to really help. Some of the worst
Pat, you
cases.
You really are. The amount of stuff you're doing.
You're award-winning.
No, don't say that.
No, I think that the worst, when I have the most difficult phone calls from the people that you're saying don't fit, generally speaking, and this is horrible, it's going to hurt some people, it's often when they say, my parents didn't understand me. And I find that really hard, because the outside world may not understand you, but children whose parents didn't understand them, and they're the ones that I would say have the, I'll use the term, biggest chip about their problem, can't go forward. If my dad didn't believe me, nobody will believe me.
Yeah.
And I found those hard. So it's how we change those people around that concerns me, because I feel it's very hard for them to go forward. If they're the ones who are, again, I think, are these on their sort of cusp, they don't feel really valued. And then I think that's a hard one. That I find that really hard, and they are the most difficult calls I take.
So sorry to jump in, Pat. I was just going to say about, you know, there just seems to be still quite a negative amount in the press, doesn't there? I mean, this week when we should have been celebrating neurodiversity, there was Peter Hitchens jumping in about. I know, but
Peter Hitchens, honestly,
I know. But also, you know, there was a big thing about ADHD, and you know, all these students at Oxford University who've got ADHD, and it's very, very negative, isn't it? So somebody who has got difficulties saying that, you know, I have got a range of difficulties myself. It's difficult when it's all so negative in the press, I think.
Yeah.
If you're
Thank you
feeling
for
down already, you don't need that. I mean,
Yeah.
on last Friday, I could have wrung that guy's neck myself if he'd been near me. And you just
Oh,
think,
no.
why?
Join the
Don't,
queue.
Pat.
Yeah.
I got a media call through that wanted interview on LBC, comment on Peter Hitchens, and I just thought, do you know what? I can't be asked.
I wouldn't want to give him the oxygen.
Oxygen.
Well, someone said to me, have you read his article? I said, it's the last thing I'll do is read his article. I don't care what he says. I just don't want to know.
And the worst thing about it was I didn't see anything about Jamie Oliver in the press before he was pictured as a figure of fun almost. So
I think
I just want to make sure that we just kind of try and finish off in terms. That's okay. No, there's a lot of passion here, and please, our apologies for any language that's been used on this session as well.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
That's okay, Kay. Don't worry. Passions are high, aren't they? Because
sorry,
for
everyone.
those who aren't sure, no, it's okay. Don't worry. There's been recent press reports from various experts saying that dyslexia isn't real, ADHD isn't real, and they come on cycle, don't they? And it is really distressing. Hence,
we used to get them every 2 minutes a while ago, but that has subsided. For it to come back now, I think this is why we're all so shocked.
Thank you, Pat.
In this week,
so could I come to you, Aaron, to think what words of inspiration then for our adults? 1 or 2 sentences.
After that conversation, I don't know how we do it.
Yeah. No, it's needed more than ever, maybe.
Bring it back round, Aaron. Bring it back round.
I think the inspiration for me is understanding. I think I say this a lot. Understanding is one of the things that we have to do. If you can understand yourself, understand your differences, understand your strengths, understand your abilities, and understand the weaknesses, and be very open with yourself about what you understand or what you know. You can then really kind of then help to evaluate where you are. And I think the one thing that we haven't talked about, we know that there is the deficit model when we look at how we assess for dyslexia, how we assess for ADHD, and there is a concept around deficit models and this concept that actually just put it onto mental health. And I always say that mental health has to be part of neurodiversity because it's part of it. And I think that when we are open about our own mental health and our own mental struggles, and a lot of us here know that life for me has been not easy over the past few years with losing a child. It's like that to me sounds harsh to say it now, but actually that's made me realize of how resilient neurodiverse people are, because actually for me, I was able to manage that in a very different way to my wife, very different way to my daughter, a very different way to my mum and dad and the rest of my family, because I've lived with failure a lot because of my neurodiversity, because being told by a teacher I'd never amount to anything. I've been told by seeing that red pen. I had this conversation when I worked with Katrina and Donna and with Sue that I asked people not to mark up their emails in red pen, in red text, because it's such a negative connotation to me of how I was at school. But if you understand that means then as an individual, you can kind of see where you need that support, or you're able to actually go to that next stage, and you may be able to do it in a way that may be a bit different. You may go up and down 12 different roads to get to it, but you get to it and you have that then feeling of how positive you have done that. So understanding yourself is so important. I say it to parents, I say it to young people. I think you've got to say it to adults. If you understand yourself, you're able then to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Thank you, Aaron. And, again, thank you for your honesty. We just want to add a trigger warning to that we spoke there about card loss as well. Sue, words of inspiration for the adult community?
Well, different doesn't mean less. I think we all need to help each other to find what we're good at. Everybody's good at something, and to focus on that and make sure, if we're talking about adults, that we're in the right sphere, that you're doing the right job, and don't go down the wrong avenue. If you need help, phone our helpline. We'll help you decide which way you should be going. We're all good at something. You just need to find that something.
Yeah, thank you,
Correct.
Sue. Really insightful. Katrina, closing words of inspiration for our adults?
No, I think it's very interesting. I've been reading the chats coming through, and one of the chats was about the fact that in the future with AI, probably these differences are going to be celebrated even more because of this. You know, we need to be unique, don't we? We're not all robots, and hopefully these differences will be celebrated more in the future, and I think it makes us what we are. So hopefully keep on doing what we're doing.
And Kay, closing words to you, if that's okay. Inspirational messages for our adults listening.
Oh, I think, and I'll go back to my experience on helpline, if that's okay.
Yeah,
Small things, small changes, particularly assistive technology, big impact, massive impact. So yeah, get some advice on assistive technology that might help.
Brilliant. And that's 2 comments about technology there. Interesting, isn't it? We shall see what the future holds in terms of the ways that we will work, certainly for our adults community. Thank you everyone for listening. This has been a really interesting conversation, hasn't it, for lots of reasons. I guess it's a good time during Neurodiversity Celebration Week to talk about these issues, but it should be Neurodiversity Celebration time every day of the year,
Yes.
doesn't it? So with that in mind, it is for these organisations because the commitment is always there 24/7. We have here the Adult Dyslexia Centre helpline number and contact details, and a big thanks to Sue and the team there for all the great work they do. We have here the Yorkshire Rose Association helpline contact number and details, and again, that's all the great work that Pat does over in Yorkshire. We've got Hampshire Dyslexia Association, and there's their helpline email address. We also have the Dyslexia Association in Nottingham, and we've heard some great words of wisdom from their CEO Kay this evening. There's their helpline email address and phone number. We have Succeed with Dyslexia. Here they don't have a helpline, but my goodness, they've got lots of great YouTube videos, lots of free information for the community, and there is the email address to reach out. I highly recommend it. We also have Neurobox here, and Neurobox work tirelessly with the adult community, supporting neurodivergent and disabled folks in the world of work through assessment, training, coaching, assistive technology, and so on. There is their email address, and that's the link to their website. And last but certainly not least is the brilliant Helen Arkell Dyslexia Charity. Again, not a helpline, but lots of great work that they do around assessment and bursaries and raising awareness. Some great webinars there too. There is their email address and also their website. So thank you, experts. That was heated at times, but I would expect no less from a great group of individuals. Thank you all for the work that you constantly do in our community. It makes a huge difference.
And thank you, Donna, for what work you do in our community.
Yeah.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes.
Yes. And as I'm going to have the last word of saying, the Neurodiversity show takes place on the 9th and 10th of May,
yes.
2025 at the NEC in Birmingham.
That's right.
You just go to neurodiversity.show to find out more information.
Thank you,
And
Aaron.
it's an excellent event.
It is. And talking about Celebration Week, Aaron's gone big this year. It is Neurodiversity show, isn't it?
Yeah, it is,
so
yeah.
let's make sure we give it a plug. The 9th and the 10th of May this year in the NEC in Birmingham.
Yeah.
I think we'll pretty much see maybe most of us on this call there.
Yes.
And Neurobox are hosting the workplace strand,
Correct.
so you will see me in person. I will have a different t-shirt on, hosting lots of great experts. So yeah, just reach out if you want to find out more. And Aaron, what's the website address?
So it's
People literally Googling
Neurodiversity.show. Neurodiversity.show. If there is another event with the similar name, but ours is Neurodiversity.show, and it's the one at the NEC.
Great, thank you. We mustn't forget that. So if you want to see Aaron in person, he will be there and I will be there. So thank you everyone for listening. It was a great conversation. And if nothing else, I think these special times brings us together to figure out where we're at, doesn't it? Until next time, it's great to have your company. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
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 Thank you, experts.